Welcome to Jake and Trev Review Everything Live. I'm Trev.
And I'm Jake.
And here you are. You're joining us. It's week 53. Now, a pessimist would say, Jake and Trev, this is just week number 53. I mean, you had your big 1 year thing.
We had our episode 50 and our week.
We had two kind of big anniversary sort of, special episodes. What's so special about week 53? The answer? You're all here with us. That's what makes it special. Jake's playing the cynic this week. He's being cynical for the both of us. Let's see. We got a few good pieces of news to share with everybody today.
First off, Kira Kennedy's here with us, and he got his video unblocked on YouTube. I don't know if you guys were paying attention last week, but we messaged from Peanut Butter Disaster that his video had been blocked because I think it was Sony.
Yep.
And it was a video about the Swan Princess, an animated film, not Disney.
Mm-mm.
And apparently they were real butthurt about it, even though no one's heard of that movie for about 15 years. So
yeah, well, I mean, I was gonna go and rent The Swan Princess actually, like this very last week, but then Kira's new video came out, and that was a perfectly acceptable substitute for actually having seen the movie.
Yeah. So,
that's how it all works.
I hope Sony's not listening because I don't think they understand satire.
No, that the robots that scour the internet for anything that might belong to them don't understand satire.
If you are a copyright-holding company, especially in the video, audio, arts, and someone is doing a review of your material on YouTube, when you block that, or when you put a claim on that or anything, all I can hear is, "Fart in my mouth."
Mm-hmm.
So remember that, and make sure those companies know that when they're doing that, all they're asking for is sweet juicy farts in their mouth, and in their open waiting mouths. So
nonstop. In fact, Jake was telling me before the show that he had to go and check out the Lionsgate copyright claim that was put on one of our videos, erroneously, incorrectly.
Yeah. Because we're doing a review of a trailer.
Right.
So it wasn't even... It was publicly available material in the first place.
Right.
But, obviously it's still owned by the copyright holder, but we were commenting on it.
We were commenting, we were critiquing, we were doing a review. So,
we still have to appeal it.
Right.
But we are going to, so...
And Jake tells me that he was trying... He was trying really hard to pay attention to what Lionsgate was trying to tell him about this, but all he could hear was, "Please fart in my mouth.
Fart in my mouth.
Fart in my mouth.
Fart in my mouth."
Just over and over again.
So let that be a lesson to you, and we know you watch the show.
Obviously.
Lionsgate, Sony, Fox,
our show is
Disney.
Is the keystone of all of internet and Hollywood entertainment. It's a fact.
BKM says, "I have the copyright on being awesome."
Well, that's good. That must you must have a lot of ways and people to make that against. You got a lot of claims you can put out there on awesome.
If I had a nickel for every time someone was awesome, I would be BKM 49946 because they hold the copyright and they do get a nickel every time someone's awesome.
Well, just on that note, I did want to address this at a later time, but since it's been brought up. Jake and I will no longer be awesome because we don't have the nickels to send BKM's way. Nope. Instead, we'll have to resort to being superb and also rambunctious. Sure. No.
Yeah. We'll go with it. We'll go with it until we can find another.
We're gonna go superb and rambunctious. Just because I want people to know how we're kind of lighthearted, playful.
So if you guys have any questions about anything going on in the world of video games and movies and other properties, feel free to ask us while we go along here. This is a live show. We would like to interact with you. One more thing. When we did our show last week, there was a lot of buzz because the test footage, and also I'd really like to point this out, and a lot of people have been getting it wrong, and I think that's just the nature of the internet, which, in a way, like, I kind of am glad that people are ignorant about this, because I feel like it might spur, I think it's Fox, right? Mm-hmm. Fox on to create a movie, but the footage last week of the Deadpool trailer was actually just test footage. And a brief primer of that, for those of you who don't know, test footage is when a movie company wants to make... It's basically like an internal pitch. Like, we've done the elevator pitch on the show before, and even though pitching something in an elevator isn't actually a thing, really.
Yeah, that doesn't really happen anymore.
They call it an elevator pitch because, you're supposed to do it fast or whatever, but if there are people that are interested in making a film internally in a filmmaking company, oftentimes what they'll have to do is make an example, like a short thing that's very similar to a trailer, where they can show executives and say,
this is the kind of thing that we're going to try to make.
So,
what do you think? Mm-hmm.
So that's what they did with this Deadpool footage. I noticed a lot of people were like, but it was all CGI. And it's like, yeah, but that's probably what they were going for, was to show how well they could do the CGI. They did have Ryan Reynolds' voice. I don't know if it's up on the internet anymore. I know that I think the biggest holdout was Facebook, because I don't know how they handle copyright takedown on Facebook. I mean, obviously YouTube has an automated service. Fart in my mouth! But, otherwise that's a thing that is between the copyright holders and the services like Facebook or YouTube that, they're not necessarily legally part of that. So if you upload a video to YouTube, YouTube can't get sued for it. But if but they can direct them, like in the case of Lionsgate, fart in my mouth, then YouTube's like, well, just direct it directly to the user. So I don't know how Facebook's copyright takedown works. I doubt they have much problem with it, but I didn't even know you could upload videos to Facebook for a while. Like,
yeah, that's kind of it's a somewhat newer thing.
You can obviously link to videos outside of Facebook, but I didn't know you could, like...
Well, as we all know, Facebook's not particularly well suited to being like a video distribution, center. You know what I mean? It's not built up from the ground up to be that. So I think in that regard, like, there's probably not actually like bots scouring people's posts to see if they posted a video that's a copyright.
I imagine you'd have to do that manually if you were a company.
And they're not going to actually pay any real people to go and look for that kind of thing.
Oh no. Heavens no. They're going to pay real people to make programs to do that for them, because ain't got time for that.
No one got time for that.
But anyways, so if you saw it before it got pulled, or if it's still up somewhere, and you get a chance to check it out. But overall thoughts, it's fucking awesome, and it's everything that I had hoped for. Obviously, I'm going to name myself the expert on this because Deadpool, but...
Well, Jake, I don't know. I think you're maybe speaking a little too fast. I have a lot to say about this. I'm just kidding. You got, I've seen the thing. I've seen the footage. It's pretty interesting. As somebody who's not obsessed with the character...
Well, I wouldn't say I'm obsessed.
Really?
I would say I'm, like, double obsessed.
Okay.
Like,
stack it up. Jake's got a double stack of obsession going on over here. But, as a layman, I guess I would have to say it was pretty good. Pretty entertaining. Mm-hmm. Ryan Reynolds definitely captured that sort of Deadpool irreverency that we were looking forward to. The glee, you know what I mean? The excitement, and just getting to see him do some over-the-top ultra-violence while doing all that. I mean, it, like you said, it's everything you really wanted Deadpool to do. In a nutshell. Yeah. Here's a nutshell. Deadpool's living inside.
Right in there. And it's awesome. Here's the thing. It might feel like I'm a little understated on it. I got all my giddiness out when I watched it like the first 10 times. in a row. But I think the other thing is you do have to remember that it's test footage. So the footage itself will remain forever awesome, but really the only thing that would make it even more awesome is if it were actually turned into a movie, which, I don't know. Like, I mean, if you're looking at the pros and cons of it, the pros is that it's out there and people can comment on it and say that they want that as a movie, and if that helps the executives make a decision as to whether they're going to make a Deadpool movie or not, I mean, that's a huge pro. It is to show how many people are actually into a Deadpool movie. The con, however, is that the test footage is presumably a couple of years old. I read a couple articles kind of Sherlocking the different parts of the video and kind of figuring out when it would have been made. And there's a bit at the very end where Deadpool says, "Hi, Tom." And I guess Tom was like the CEO of Fox at the time. So some people speculate that was a nod to the CEO. And apparently he hasn't been CEO for a couple of years. So that's like the big one. There's a couple other things too. But so, I mean, they might just be pissed off that it got leaked. They might not even be interested in it. So that's kind of a con. I'm not holding my breath. I wasn't holding my breath when they leaked the script, or when, especially when Wolverine Origins came out.
I guess what I'm really interested in all this is the continued belief of movie studios that certain things will be viable because they had been a success at some point before in some form. And I know that sounds wishy-washy, but pay attention now. Do you guys remember that really big, successful Fantastic Four movie that Hollywood made that everyone just couldn't stop talking about? Me neither. I don't remember that movie either. And that's kind of the problem is that I think that they're taking like movies like the Fantastic Four, which, arguably are one of the premier teams in comics. A lot of people. That's why I said arguably. I wouldn't argue it. I'm just saying that
I would argue
they're a well-known team.
Okay. I'll give you that.
They're a well-known team, and I guess at one point they were one of the top sellers or like really like well-liked. But it's been a long time. Nobody's talking about the Fantastic Four. I saw that there was. I believe there was a tweet or something from one of the stars or director who put up like just wrapped filming on Fantastic Four and reboot movie. Oh yeah, and it's like, nope, nobody wanted it. Nobody asked for it after the last two Fantastic Four movies, which both sucked. That nobody really went and liked and watched. Who was it that was really clamoring for a redone, thing? And, the sad thing is that Fox would rather sink more money into this and just try to do it in a slightly different way to try to get you guys to bite this fucking lure that they're just dragging in front of you than try out a different lure. And especially like a lure that all the fish, or well, at least a good number of fish in the pond are asking for.
Trump's calling you all fish. I want you to know that.
Look, in this metaphor, I'm afraid you're all fish. Okay? But...
Now you know that you are a fish.
But that's the point. They
may be a gay fish, I don't know. I'm cool with that.
I don't care.
If you're a gay fish.
You be what you want to be. But yeah, no, the point is that Fox, they're not giving people what they want. People have been actually asking for a Deadpool movie for some time. They still have the rights to the mutant-related characters because of their X-Men licensing, which does include Deadpool. Deadpool is part of the...
He's not technically a mutant, but he does have powers.
He's in the X-Men bucket that Fox has the rights to. So rather than and that's what's really sad is that they wouldn't rather give people what they want and just let these rights to a property that nobody wants lapse and give it back to Marvel because they're so scared that Marvel will actually do something interesting with it, and then they'll be, oh, we missed out on all that Fantastic Four money. And it's like, no, you didn't.
Yeah. Well,
you didn't miss out on it.
The allegory that comes to my mind is obviously, I buy and sell things.
Mm-hmm.
I buy and sell people like you. No, I buy and sell stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And that's like when you're at a yard sale. There's a lot of stuff there. It's hard to take in everything. And maybe like me from like 15 years ago, if there were like a bunch of things that were related to like Star Wars or Marvel or DC or that stuff, I would want to get everything because it's like, oh man, this could all be really valuable, and who knows, you know, like there could be a bunch of Marvel Star Wars books sitting on a table, like comic books sitting on a table. It could be like, oh, I gotta get all of these, but in the end, like a lot of those aren't worth anything. And the problem is that the studios are past me and people that I still see, where they just grab up everything that they can grab because they think that it's worth something. And the truth is that you have to know your properties. So these these movie companies don't know what's popular in Marvel, what's popular in DC. They just know what the most popular thing is. So when you say Fantastic Four, that's like a household name. The Fantastic Four have been out since the 60s, so I'm sure that even your moms or your grandmoms probably know who the Fantastic Four are.
Mm-hmm.
But...
oh, that Johnny Torch, he's just the most wonderful.
He can really cut a rug.
He can really cut a rug and light it on fire.
But it doesn't mean that people are actually interested in it now. So that's the problem. Although I will say, you know, there are some anomalies like Guardians of the Galaxy.
Mm-hmm.
When that was announced, I mean, I knew who the Guardians of the Galaxy were before the movie was even announced, but they were always kind of on the periphery,
mm-hmm.
where it's like, oh, they're, you know, a super team in space. And I read a couple books and they seemed all right, just like every other super team, but there wasn't really anything stand out that made me want to read a whole bunch of Guardians of the Galaxy. So with the movie coming out, the movie was really good, and, you know, it was because they made those characters good in the movie. So they did the opposite. They picked something that if you had asked 2 years ago, your mams or your grandmams who the Guardians of the Galaxy were, they wouldn't know. You know,
mm-hmm.
But now, you know, it's going to be a household name because they made a good movie. So,
well, here's I know this is just the example, but I mean, who is seeing the most movies? Is it mams and grandmams? No, you mean they're not the highest movie-seeing demographic? Then whether or not mams and grandmams can remember something should not be a litmus test for whether or not it's going to be successful.
Oh, absolutely.
Check out Fantastic Four. Check out The Lone Ranger. Check out John Carter of Mars. Maybe one of your grandmams is like a old-timey science fiction fan who remembers the Barsoon saga. And then she actually talks about that shit. And she knows who John Carter of Mars is. But you know what? Nobody cares.
Yeah.
Nobody cares.
So that's the problem. And I think that's my problem with Deadpool being made is that, you know, there are probably plenty of people like, but I've never heard of Deadpool. Like, they're just throwing money in the air because it's hot and they want a money shower. They're like, I've never heard of Deadpool. I don't care. And there's just some, like, poor writer, like, sitting on the other side of this money shower, like, but people like it. People want to see a Deadpool movie. I don't care.
He's like, no, you need to stop and understand, because you know how people were really excited about Wolverine 10, 15 years ago?
People know Superman. Can we make a Superman movie? Make a
At
Superman
Fox?
movie. Yeah. Here, back up. You're ruining my money shower.
But sir, you know how we keep on pressing Wolverine as like the only character that
Wolverine. Everybody knows Wolverine.
Yeah, right.
Everybody loves Wolverine.
Well, you know where Wolverine was like 10 and 15 years ago, where he was like super popular in comics?
Uh-huh.
That's where Deadpool is right now. We can get ahead of the curve. We can start making
I never heard of him. Never heard of him.
Well, maybe you're not the audience, sir!
But I do have all the money.
Oh, so I guess you get to decide what gets made. Wah, wah, wah.
So any questions for us, guys?
Yeah, feel free to ask
some questions.
Ask us some questions, you jabronis.
Ask some questions.
Yeah, I'm just gonna drop the jaw off that, you bronies.
You bronies.
You male fans of My Little Pony.
Jabronies?
No, just bronies.
Oh, you bro, like
you
jabronis.
Jabronis.
I got it.
Okay, according to the Hollywood Reporter, 2 more Lego movies get release dates.
Yay!
Fantastic. The last one was pretty good, right? I mean, surely it's just going to be like exactly like the last one, and that's what everyone will like. Hey, let's cheers to that.
Oh my god, I'm closing out of that window. Hold on, let's get rid of some of this. Hold on. All right, let's get through all the shitty news here.
Okay.
So yeah,
in the this is a continuing saga story. We've commented on it several times. We have previously reported that Marvel and DC are both scheduling one of their major releases for the same day. Marvel's going to release Captain America 3. DC is going to release Batman vs. Superman, both on the same day, and it's going to be a big thing. But guess what? DC blinked first.
Of course they did.
Marvel was standing there and like puffing out its chest, its big Marvel moneymaker $1 billion printing machine chest, and DC blinked first, and now they are moving the release of Superman or Batman vs. Superman. This is the really interesting part. You guys know we've talked about this before on the show. Toward the beginning of the year. And arguably it is more January and February.
Yeah.
But toward the beginning of the year are kind of it's where movies go to quietly die for the most part. Batman vs. Superman was moved from May 6th 2016 to March 25th 2016.
Well, here's the thing. I feel like, and obviously Warner Brothers is the weaker of the two.
Well, you know what they're saying about we'll hit them early. We're going to hit them early, and then they're just not going to feel like any more superheroes.
I think they could have wiped out Captain America. I love the Captain America movies, but I don't think that he's Marvel's strongest character.
No.
And
he's its most Superman-esque character, despite having complete opposites in terms of powers.
Like, unless there was, I really wish they would have kept the same day. Because I would love to see how that played out. And I really think that Batman vs. Superman, depending on how good it was, would have beat the shit out of Captain America 3. Captain America 3 is on its third iteration. This is the buzz. I mean, if you're talking about buzz, I haven't heard shit about Captain America 3. What are we gonna have, like, Mandroid and the Super Adaptoid and fucking... How much shit can you pull out of the shield bag before you decide that there's nothing left of Captain America but shitty husk?
Jake, you're not mad at Captain America, okay?
No, I'm not. But there's nothing left. It's over.
What about the Red Skull? He could come
if
back.
the 90s have taught us anything, there's nothing left for Captain America. So really, I mean, they have a new Batman. Obviously, they still have Henry Cavill as Superman, but people want to see how he interacts with other characters.
It would have been almost impossible for Marvel to really capture the same kind of explosive feeling as the Superman Batman movie, because not only is it the new Batman that in this collective DC universe. This is the first Batman that shares a universe with other people, so that's kind of a big deal in terms of just Batman.
Huge. Absolutely.
Right. So not only do you get him, but you also get Wonder Woman, and there are about 3 or 4 other heroes that are also slated to pretty much definitely.
Flash. I think they're doing a new Green Lantern.
Well, I've
heard rumors.
Jason Momoa is all but certain. Jason Momoa is all but definitely going to be Aquaman. So you're gonna. So they're sliding in a Justice League movie in under the radar, under the pretense that it's a Batman Superman movie.
Yeah, and that's the other thing is that, listen, if Batman vs. Superman is awesome, then everyone's going to go to see it. Captain America 3 would get crushed. If Batman vs. Superman is terrible, and Captain America is nothing short of fucking brilliant, that's the only way Captain America 3 would knock Batman vs. Superman out for the box office, is if it was absolutely must-watch in the theater. And I gotta be honest, I enjoyed the first Captain America, enjoyed the second one. If Batman vs. Superman was just a complete shit pile, I would go see that in the theater and probably watch Captain America 3 either later in the theater or I would watch it like on video or something.
Wow.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Unless it was like just, you know.
So in other words, for you to be at all interested to see Captain America, the buzz on it has to be like supreme. Like it's got to be like the best Marvel
movie yet. It's like Captain
yet.
America teams up with Howard the Duck.
Look, Jake, this is like a dangerous addiction. Okay, and you know, at first the highs feel great, but then the highs are fewer and farther between, and you got to do more to get your high. And so now Captain America's not enough for you. Now you want Captain America and a bunch of like sidekicks and team ups and villains. I mean, how far will you go to chase the high, Jake?
Well, let's see how far DC and Warner Brothers thinks we're gonna go. They have, what is that? They have 11 movies. 11. Actually, they have one in 2016 in August. August 5th, 2016, that's 2 years from yesterday.
Yeah, so they have the March 25th, 2016, and then all of these movies, 11 of them.
2 in 2017, 3 in 2018, 2 in 2019, and 3 in 2020. Which, and 2 of them, one in 2018 and one in 2020, are titled event films, which assumedly they're ripping completely wholesale off of Marvel, in that those are probably going to be Justice League movies.
Yikes.
So they see Marvel has set a dangerous precedent, and now DC, the ever Johnny-come-lately, is going to swoop in and do the best they can to fucking emulate that. And yeah, because Marvel's is basically the same thing. I mean, not all of theirs are untitled, but there are, what, like 2 or 3 now that are like, we don't know, whatever, it's a Marvel movie, you're gonna fucking watch it. So, okay. This is my, how about we make some predictions?
Okay.
I'll go first. I will say that the superhero movie bubble, and I'm not talking about them actually making the movies, because I feel like they're going to. But I'm talking about whether general audience acceptance of the movies and reviews and overall feelings of the films are going to drop. Also, budgets. You can definitely tell by the budgets. If they're not willing to throw a shit ton of money at a movie, it probably means that they scheduled it, but they're not sure that it's going to do well. I feel like all those things we're going to hit the top of the curve probably after Avengers 2. But that's also going to ripple effect for DC as well, because DC is so fucking far behind that they're going to jump into the bubble as it's bursting, and that's going to be awful for them.
I think I think you have a lot of really good insight there. I think that everyone is basically going to be along for this ride, definitely through Avengers 2. It's impossible for everyone to back down from this one now. Okay?
Right.
Avengers 2 is a done deal, guys. There's no way that it's not going to be an out-of-control, runaway hit.
Right.
Okay? It's going to print money. $1 billion. Boom. Boom.
Money shower.
But 2016 is going to be the year that the bubble bursts. Couple reasons here. So you're going to have, like you said, amazing. You're going to have Captain America 2016.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to have another DC movie 2016. They're going to have another Marvel movie 2016 because they're going about 2 per year. You're going to have another DC. So you're going to have the Superman Batman movie. So that's 4 movies there.
Mm-hmm.
But also in that year, we're going to get the second wave of the Star Wars movies. That's going to be the year we're going to get the standalone movie that's not one of like the official like trilogy movies. It's going to be like a auxiliary like Boba Fett, Star Wars
Wild Ride.
Star Wars Boba Fett's Wild Ride, and that's when it's all going to come crashing down because and we'll have to do some research on this one to confirm this. I believe that might also be when the next Amazing Spider-Man movie is slated to be 2016.
Hold on, let me pull it
I'm
up.
pretty sure it's also when that one's going to come up. And if I am right.
I'm pretty sure I saw it in here somewhere.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you did too.
Hold on.
We were talking about
Hold
it.
on, I'll find it. Next Spider-Man movie is 2016, yep. And that's going to be the Sinister Six movie.
See, and that's it. So the next Spider-Man movie, which is somehow going to not be a Spider-Man movie. People are going to be fucking done with it. They're going to be done with it. It's going to be too much. It's this market saturation I've been talking about. It's all
we've been talking about.
Okay, it's fair. You're right. You're absolutely right. But I will say that I know I specifically have been trying to point out about the Star Wars saturation that we're going to experience when we start getting Star Wars movies every single year.
You brought that up originally.
Oh, but no, saturation's going to be a real problem. So you say just I think we're both kind of in the same ballpark. Post Avengers 2, and in that 2016, that's where it's all going to fall. And maybe we're totally wrong. Maybe we're totally wrong, and we're just being pessimists. And this is an unstoppable rocket ship ride that will fly into the heavens forever.
Well, that's the other big thing is the economy, and without getting into any politics or anything, the economy and general society really has to do with how movies are, and I'm not speculating on where we're going to be in, I don't know, 2 years, 4 years. I mean, they have movies up through 2020, so we're talking about 6 years. 6 years! 6 years! I mean, think about how many fluxes we've had in just the general... I know many people have talked about it, and I can't quote anybody specifically off the top of my head right now, but I have heard that vampire movies are more popular and zombie movies are more popular depending on the climate of America, basically. So, I mean, that says a lot of things about superhero movies, too.
Mm-hmm.
There's a reason that certain movies, like Harry Potter did really well for, 8 years?
Mm-hmm.
And, and the Twilight series went all the way through, even though it's ripoffs and followers at the end of that trilogy had one movie expecting to go into a bunch and just kind of see the host.
Mm-hmm. Also, hey, don't forget about 50 Shades of Grey. That's coming out here.
The PG-13 50 Shades of Grey.
Is it really PG-13?
No, it's probably going to be rated R.
Don't you think it has to kind of be rated R? I mean, isn't that the whole point? Is that that's mommy porn, so it's got to be a little porny?
Yeah, but that's... I feel like it's dangerous territory, and I'm no prude. I've never read the books, and I'm sure they're great, but that's kind of what they are. I wouldn't want to see...
If you're no prude, how come you're wearing a skirt that touches the floor, Jake?
I like to show a little skin, I'm sorry.
Okay.
The problem isn't that it's explicit. The problem is that they're trying to make it into a film. That's the big problem, is that nobody's going to want to... I mean, it's fun for a bunch of girls and their bachelorette party to go in and see Magic Mike. Magic Mike was just about male strippers. That wasn't specifically about male strippers fucking. There's a big difference. I mean, obviously, Showgirls and all that other stuff, those were kind of dramas and a little bit of comedy in there, especially with Magic Mike, but, that's not... It wasn't... The main focus of any of those movies wasn't fucking. Right. So, you're talking about releasing a movie in theaters, which is mainly fucking. And the last time that they tried to release it... I'm trying to think of the name of the movie. It came in 2 parts. I think it might have been... Linklater? No. Shit. Anyways, it came out recently, and it immediately got an NC-17.
Right.
Because it was about fucking.
Wait.
So if you're moving, and that's the thing. It's obviously, yes, it's a very popular book, and most people wonder why that even happened in the first place.
Right. Well, especially considering that it started out as Twilight fan fiction then got That's what's really fucked up. Is it's Twilight fan fiction that got rewrote.
A book that was already terrible.
That was basically done. Itself. Arguably was a ripoff of other things that had come before it, including teen pseudo magical adventures with Harry Potter and so forth. That's how it goes. It's like a game of telephone. You start out with Harry Potter, you end up with 50 Shades of Grey. And what does that say to all of you?
Yeah, but generally people like push that to the, the dregs of the internet.
Yes.
Like, that's where you go on a message board where other people, are like, hey, read this steamy fan fiction that I wrote.
Also, the Star Trek writing office, if there is one at the time.
Oh, yeah.
For those of you who haven't seen, there's a delightful documentary called Trekkies, and it kind of explores some of the weird social things going on that goes on with Trek fans. The differences between Trekkies and Trekkers. By the way, guys, there is a difference. Mm-hmm. You have to. We are at war. Pick a side. And it's funny. Apparently, the distinction comes in between Trekkers want to let you know that they are not. The Trek is not happening to them. They are experiencing the Trek. You see. That's why they're Trekkers. They're affecting a part of the Trek. Trekkies, they're just along for the ride. Which sounds like the most pompous head up their own ass fandom thing I've ever heard of. But But in any case, I remember there was a lot of discussion in that documentary with people from the writing staff of Star Trek, which still had like 2 or 3 shows on TV at the time of its production. And they were saying how literally we get fan mail every single week, bunches of it. There's always /fiction. And that's the thing, they send it to the writers.
Where they're like, you have to read this thing where Will gets down with Picard.
You know what the writers at Star Trek are going to want to see? This story that I'm writing right now with one hand.
That was
with one hand.
That was probably 16 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, that movie came out. That came out a long time ago.
Yeah.
So now we have the internet.
So now all the /fiction writers can just share it with each other, or they email it, I guess, probably to whatever Star Trek writing staff there exists at any given time.
It's just fuck books.
Fuck books.
And that's what 50 Shades of Grey is. It's a fuck book.
It's a fuck book.
There is no, see, that's the thing. Twilight is insidious and terrible and awful. But the best you can say for it, as far as being compared to 50 Shades of Grey, was it was supposed to be about endless love between a teenage girl and her 100-year-old vampire boyfriend. And there was supposed to be something romantic about that. But they go to great lengths in 50 Shades of Grey, as far as I've heard, because I haven't read it myself. And that's not like a disclaimer, like, I haven't read it. Like, I don't want to misconstrue it for the people that actually enjoyed that book. But like that, what is his name, Dorian Gray or whatever, Anthony Gray, Christian Grey. His character is a sociopath. So he can't feel feelings. He just has sex.
Well,
his character is built to fuck.
He has a Red Room of Pain is its name, and there's all kinds of like things to tie women up to, and bind them up and make them feel powerless and make them submit to his will. Mm-hmm. And he inflicts pain on them. Mm-hmm. And apparently, and by the way, guys, and I'm only half joking here, or I should say I'm at least half joking here, when I say that apparently, that's why men don't say, or that's why men say all the time that they don't understand women, because when put in the right context, smacking women around and tying them up and doing all these things is super sexy in the right context.
Well, see, and even before all this talk in the movie and stuff, I know a lot of people were very upset because there are communities, just like there are communities of fan fiction writers. Sure. There are definitely communities of people who trade BDSM tips, and a lot of those people were very upset at the portrayal of the BDSM situation because they were like, this isn't BDSM, this is an abusive relationship in the book.
Right.
Because they don't discuss anything, they're not mutually accepting of what's going on. In fact, I think there's a couple scenes where he goes too far.
You mean
which is fucking abuse, by the way.
Well, no, it's really romantic.
No, it's not. So,
I'm not the one who wrote this!
I know.
And I mean, and it even goes back to Twilight. Like, the whole Edward creeping around in Bella's room in, like, the middle of the night.
I was watching you sleep.
I was leaning in over your bed and watching you as you slept.
No.
That's so romantic.
That's not romantic.
That's so romantic, you
it's
guys.
Not. So I on one hand, yes, I understand it's a fantasy book, but
also he's 200 years old.
And also he's 200 years old. But I understand both of those books are fantasy books, but they have such a misconstrued perception. And the people that say, "Oh, well, I understand that it's not real life." Like, there are teenagers that are reading this that are at their worst step of puberty that don't understand that. So, I mean, that's fucked.
Mm-hmm.
To present this as, oh, this is romantic. It's like, no, it's not.
Not really.
People are going to get the wrong idea. So, a rated R movie in the theater of this? Yeah. I don't know if they're going to make it past the first movie. I won't say I'd be surprised if they make it to, 51 Shades of Grey or whatever the fuck the sequel was called. Because it's a trilogy. Because everything's a fucking trilogy.
Everything.
Everything's a goddamn trilogy.
Could you imagine writing a 3-book trilogy of pain-based fuck books?
No, I couldn't. But apparently somebody
E.L. James could.
Yeah. So
in lighter news, Netflix is positive that Arrested Development is returning for season 5. Well, that's good. Because there's always money in the banana stand.
So did they have to renew Portia Del Rossi's contract because she has a new face now, or?
No. You've been sticking it to Portia de Rossi for a
sorry.
while about that.
I think that she was a very beautiful woman, and she was aging gracefully, and apparently she didn't. And now she looks like Skeletor, and it scares me.
Skeletor.
It's terrifying. Is she still with Alan?
Yes, they're pregnant.
Oh, okay.
I've heard. I don't know if that's actually true. I was walking through the supermarket, and I'm pretty sure I saw that on like the words on a tabloid or something, and maybe they're pregnant. Good for them.
Yeah, that's
good
awesome.
for them.
But she's still creepy. She creeps me out
because there literally is always money.
When she popped
in the banana stand.
When she popped in the newest season, the Netflix season, I was like, "Whoa! Who the fuck was that?" And I was like, "Oh, is that supposed to be Lindsay? Really?"
What a fun, sexy time for you. It'll be a fun, sexy time for all of us, George Michael. Okay.
We already.
Well, we touched on this a little bit. I feel we have to go into it a little bit more.
Why?
We talked about how there's a Spider-Man movie coming our way in 2016, it looks like. And it's going to be allegedly the Sinister Six.
Huh.
But guys, guess what? They're not done. Remember, we talked previously about them doing a Venom movie. You wanna top me off there, Chief? While you're up, a Venom movie. But guess what, guys? It's not just a Venom movie anymore. What is it? It's been titled... Jake, do you want to say it? You gotta say it quietly because you're right over the microphone.
Venom Carnage.
Oh, what? A Venom Carnage movie? Gross. Guys, I just don't have it in me right now. Without my cigarettes to give me rage powers... Without my cigarettes to give me rage powers, I can't get that upset about it like I did last time. But I want you to know that a Venom Carnage movie is literally the worst thing that has ever happened to anyone ever. And I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, Trevor, but what about that thing that, yes, even that awful, unspeakable horror that people only talk about in quiet tones in order to be as respectful as possible to people who had to live through it. Venom and Carnage is worse than that. That's all I have to say. Jake?
Trevor hating Venom and Carnage is basically me loving Deadpool, so I just gotta let him have it. Honestly, I've said my piece about Venom and Carnage. I think that they could be good characters if done well, but
without Spider-Man? Can you remove Spider-Man from that equation?
Yeah, I think Venom is a character that can stand on his own. But the only problem is that Spider-Man, The Amazing Spider-Man 1 and 2 showed that Spider-Man can't even make a fucking Spider-Man movie, so they got their heads up their butts. There's no way that this Spider-Man train is gonna end up with any gravy in it. So
it's gonna
maybe
end
internationally, but I mean, critically, no.
It's gonna end up derailed in New Mexico with a bunch of corn, preventing the shipment of the much
corn
needed
in its beehole.
Corn in its beehole.
Corn in its cornhole.
Oh, good one.
Oh yeah.
But also in other news, just to touch on this briefly, they're also exploring the possibility of bringing a female superhero movie from the Spider-Man universe.
And it has to be Spider-Man specifically because Sony only has the rights for the Spider-Man universe.
So, yeah, we've talked about it a little bit before. There are, probably about 50-odd characters 50 to 100-odd characters that Sony technically has the movie rights to right now because they have the Spider-Man block of the Marvel Universe. The really sad thing is there's no female character who's a superhero who is strong enough in this block of characters who can support her own movie. I'm sorry, I'm not saying I don't want it. If I thought a Black Cat movie could work, I'd be right behind it, but you know what it would be?
Black Cat,
do you know what it would be, Jake? Do you know what the Black Cat movie would be? It'd be Halle Berry Catwoman, is what it would be.
Well, here's the thing. I love Black Cat as a character. But I love Black Cat as a character with her interactions with Spider-Man. Because that's such an important thing that people forget. Is that, yes, people like Black Cat. But people like Black Cat because she's kind of like... Do you remember in Batman and Robin... Or no, actually... no, earlier.
Do I remember
Batman Forever.
Robin? Do I... Oh no! It's boiling acid! I want everyone to know it is my dream when I'm very wealthy. Mm-hmm. It is my dream to reshoot the opening sequence from Batman Forever, starring myself. No, not as Batman. I'm not that guy. I'm the guard who Batman has to save at the beginning of the movie from Two-Face's gang. He gets locked in the vault, and he is just hamming it up so badly, like next to Batman, like he's making Batman look like stone cold serious in comparison. But yeah, no, like the vault door slams shut, and then like acid starts spraying out of all these safety deposits, which doesn't make any sense because apparently Two-Face has installed a bunch of acid reservoirs all throughout this vault and in a way that it'll actually fill the entire vault up with... Doesn't make any sense. But it starts spraying, and that's what the fucking guard says, and it makes me laugh.
Oh, no!
Oh my god, it's not funny.
Oh no!
It's just like that. It's like, who is directing this guy? Why didn't anybody stop him?
It's true. It's true. They were probably like, that's perfect. Do it just like that. I can feel the emotion.
Oh no! It's boiling acid! That's my dream. I want to be cast as that guy in a remake of that opening sequence.
That would be awesome. But, back to my point.
Sorry.
Two-Face had the two girls. There's like the naughty girl and the nice girl. And that's kind of how the Mary Jane Black Cat dichotomy is.
Absolutely.
Because they reflect off of those, Mary Jane is obviously accepting of Spider-Man, but she's more of the real world. She doesn't have powers or anything. She's just Peter Parker's girlfriend, not really Spider-Man's. So there's kind of that. But then, Spider-Man's a crime fighter, and he lives for justice and swinging around New York and beating crime. And Black Cat, even though she's, kind of an anti-hero herself, she oftentimes teams up with Spider-Man, and she's also, constantly hitting on him. And, they banter.
Blatantly.
Well, yeah.
They have sexy banter.
They flirt like crazy, so it's kind of like, you have your Spider-Man home life and your Peter Parker home life and your Spider-Man, and it kind of reflects the needs of him as a dual character. There are a lot of superheroes, the Fantastic Four who are just superheroes, or like Superman. You know, like Lois Lane knows he's Superman. Eventually, she knows, so she doesn't give a shit. It's just like, yep, you're Clark Kent and Superman. There's no real, there's no like super lady that's like, hey, Superman, because Superman is just not tempted by anything. I think that's another really bad character flaw of Superman, is that he has to be he has to be justice.
The only way you can depict Superman as vulnerable in that way is if he's being affected by red kryptonite, and then he turns into an evil Superman who drinks and like.
Okay,
and,
that
like,
was Smallville.
Well, yeah, that was Smallville. But I started out thinking about the red kryptonite thing, and then I jumped to Superman 3, the quest for to Superman 3, the one with Richard Pryor. That's what they should call that. I want that to be
Superman 3:
the one with Richard Pryor.
Yeah.
And Richard Pryor makes the artificial kryptonite, but he doesn't know what the last ingredient is, so he has to take a guess. And he says it's tar, because he was looking at his pack of cigarettes, and he's like, this product contains tar. And he's like, oh, the last ingredient's tar. And so then he gets it back from the synthetics lab, and then he exposes Superman, and then Superman turns into a bad guy. And he goes to the bar, and he drinks, and he tells people to screw off. And like, if you've never seen it, it's a treat.
Yeah, but you have to chemically induce those qualities in Superman before he will display them. But Spider-Man always has that kind of thing where he's like, well, I could get with Black Cat, you know? Mm-hmm. Like, it shows actual humanness.
Yeah.
And arguably Superman is an alien, but, you get my point. Like,
yeah.
So
he's human enough.
So Black Cat is an interesting character as part of Spider-Man and his mythology, but
not enough to carry her
own character. Same with Catwoman. Catwoman is very similar in that respect.
Mm-hmm.
With
they're very, very similar characters.
So
so similar, in fact, that they're
extra sexy, and even Catwoman has stolen Black Cat's major cleavage.
Oh my God! Right?
I know, like crazy. Has anybody played Arkham City?
Ridiculous.
Boobs everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Just.
So yeah, there's that. They also have suggested Silver Sable apparently has come up, but like Silver Sable.
I'm glad I wasn't joking.
No, like Jake's not far off. If you guys aren't familiar with like the Spider-Man mythos, and even if you are, and you would have to be to know who Silver Sable is, you would still like Jake.
It's not like a Ford.
Right. That's for sure. No, it's.
Hey, I got this Ford Silver Sable for sale.
I don't want it. No, but it's she's just not that well known of a character. Her whole deal is that she's a mercenary. That's literally her deal, and she hunts down. I mean, she's a good mercenary. They hunt down bad guys, I guess. Her and her military group, or quasi paramilitary group that she hangs around with, but. Not nearly an interesting enough character.
Wait, is her group called the Sable Rattlers? Like a saber rattler?
Saber Rattler, I get it. No. Shut up. But yeah.
Trevor's not amused by puns.
No.
But he is amused by, oh no, acid! Oh, yikes. Alright, I better get the next news thing
love it.
And this is too much. I'm going to just throw this link in here so you guys can read this. This
is really interesting. I was like, what? And when it was all said and done, so when you get an opportunity later on, you're going to want to check out this link. Don't read it while you're watching the show.
That's rude.
That's rude. We're going to go on to the next item, though.
Pride and Prejudice and Zombies is being made, and we all saw how well Abraham Lincoln Vampire Slayer did.
Mm-hmm. Gangbusters, right?
So this is just gonna fucking...
Well, I mean, Daniel Day-Lewis was in that, and I mean, he's a real serious... No, he was in Lincoln. I was just making a joke. But,
I was like, wait! If he wasn't, because I saw that movie in the theater. It was awful. There are talks. Okay, we talked about this before the show. I'm going to put a stamp on this and say anytime you hear Ghostbusters news, you have to take it with all of the salt. Not just a grain. Just fucking choke that salt down.
Also, do me a favor. Nobody take that motion like that and make a gift out of that. Nobody take that and isolate that as a gift and try to and GIF and try to take it out of context. Because that'd be fucking rude, you guys.
I don't appreciate that.
I don't appreciate that.
Ugh.
We're talking about salt.
We're talking about
Pouring salt into our mouths. Come on.
It's just salt, guys. Alright. But, alright. So, Ghostbusters news should always be taken with a stiff hand job.
Just a powerful one.
But apparently Paul Feig...
Really?
God damn it.
Can we stop? I mean, listen, I'm going to be the one to say this. If your name is anything like the word fag, okay? If it's anything like that and you work in, like, entertainment, be a bro. Could you please, like, give yourself a stage name? I'm talking to this guy, Paul Feig, and also Kevin Feige from fucking
Feige.
Marvel. Feige! Like, who would look at his name and say Feige?
I know. It's like, Kevin... For...
Fag.
See, and then you don't feel so bad when John Travolta fucks somebody's name up.
Oh.
Because you're like, oh...
Oh,
I
it
assume
is
it's
hard.
Feig.
Feig, probably. F-E-I-G is how it's spelled. Feig.
Feig. I don't know. Whatever.
It's Boston.
He is being courted to direct and produce a Ghostbusters reboot, and apparently it's going to be with women. Which, okay, I'll drop my opinion right now. I really like Melissa McCarthy from McCartney. I like Bridesmaids. I like all those movies. They're pretty funny. I know Jamie's gonna kill me for saying this, but I didn't think The Heat was super great. I thought it was all right. It was ultimately forgettable, but it had its moments.
Look, I'm not trying to make any sort of claim that women like this more than men, but I will say that the overwhelming majority of people who came up to me and said something really positive about The Heat were women. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. I'm sure it was a legitimately funny movie. I didn't see it, so I can't say anything in terms of like what I thought of its quality. But I did notice that like it was a movie that women seemed to be very proud of.
Well, here's my theory on that. My theory is that we haven't had female comedies. We've had like romantic comedies that have females in them.
Well, what about 9 to 5?
We haven't had female comedies.
What a way to make a living. Dude, that
how old is that fucking movie?
It has Dabney Coleman in it.
Yeah, I just don't like it. No, 95 was from the 80s.
Yeah.
And yeah, but there really hasn't been any, like, strong... There's a strong uprising of female comedies, and the problem isn't the humor. The humor's funny. It's just that comedy movies are generally with, like, dudes, usually loser dudes, and stuff like that, and the loser women kind of vibe of comedy movies coming out is appealing to me, but a lot of the jokes they're making are jokes that have already been made. So, on one hand, I really hope that they keep making female comedies, because I want to see more of them, because they're funny. It's nice to see, it's fresh. It's fresh to see it from a new perspective, but at the same time, there are a lot of things where women will find it very funny, because there are women up on the screen doing the thing, and I still find that funny. You know, I don't think it's a sexist thing, I just think it's that because the studios themselves were so sexist for so long, and it took a movie like Bridesmaids to launch female comedians, and, you know, Tina Fey in Mean Girls and that kind of stuff, you know, like, it took a very long time for that to become popular. But the problem is that it's still kind of taking baby steps, whereas, like, just comedies in general have been around for so long that it still needs time to kind of grow and evolve and stuff. So there are, you know, The Heat, it was funny to see Sandra Bullock out of her element in a comedy movie, but then at the same time, you know, like, I've seen it already with dudes, so you kind of have to, like, catch up and then exceed, and then I think it'll be funnier. But
Ghostbusters with ladies.
Yeah, Ghostbusters with ladies. I'd watch it, absolutely. And
I do wonder what kind of like how the dynamics are going to have to change. I mean, are they still going to have like the shiftless layabout non-scientist pretending to be a scientist?
That's what I would have to.
Are they going to have a Peter Venkman character?
It says it's a total reboot. So, see, what I think would be funny is if like the Ghostbusters basically like quit or they like moved out of New York or something, you know, and or maybe like they disappeared mysteriously. See, that would throw into the plot there. And then these women, like, they're down on their luck. They rent this place and they find all this equipment and they find all this research about ghosts and they see the old newspaper clippings of everything that happened in 1 and 2 and then, you know, like something crazy happens, so they decide to go bust ghosts, and then they become famous as Ghostbusters, and then maybe throughout their research they find out that the Ghostbusters got I don't know why I'm giving this away for free.
Got trapped in the ecto-containment unit,
or in just like an alternate dimension, or that would work too. And you know, and then they have to rescue them.
I mean, they use that kind of device several times in the animated series, but I mean, think about it. Here's like an ostensibly scientific thing that traps all ghosts that you can stuff into it. I think they seem to suggest that it had a finite limit of how many ghosts they could put in there.
Yeah.
But, like, that's mysterious as fuck. A machine that traps ghosts? What, are they all, like, just bouncing around in a tank?
Yeah, just tumble dry.
What's it like in there?
Oh, man. But yeah, that, you know, but I'm not going to say it's, you know, I would never say that a movie is going to be bad because they've switched the genders of the characters, basically.
No.
That's stupid. We're better than that. This is 2014, goddammit.
The new Ghostbusters movie will suck because they shouldn't make another Ghostbusters movie.
Really? You don't?
What? Not. Because you said you weren't going to say it because of that. I was going to say it's because of this.
I gotcha. Okay.
But no.
Quick bonus round. We got 2 things. Oh, this isn't.
That's not a thing. Get out of there.
Oh, Terminator 5.
Terminator 5. Yep. Nikki Manthey actually mentioned it in the group discussion. I was going to try to get around to it.
Hey, I have Terminator for the Genesis. No, I don't. I want that game.
Terminator Genesis. It's the 5th in the series, and their production has just wrapped.
Terminator for the Genesis.
Apparently this week
versus Terminator.
Apparently a lot of productions wrapped this week. Jurassic World. The other one I mentioned earlier. I don't know.
The other thing.
Something else.
Whatever.
And what's the last thing we got here, Jake?
The last thing is Disney is really building a Star Wars theme park.
Did anybody
actually happening?
Is anybody surprised? I mean, can the person who's surprised? I'd like you to stand up and tell me that you're surprised right now.
Okay, see, here's the thing: if Disney isn't stupid, they're not going to be making a money printing machine. They're going to make goddamn money printing Death Star. I was gonna
say they're going to make a machine that makes machines that print money.
They're gonna have a fucking monopoly on money things. Actually, there was a quote. There was a quote. That's like a crazy quote. I gotta find it. Where is it?
While Jake's looking, I want to draw attention to the fact that I apparently have a hole in my lip and I totally spilled coffee on the top of my shirt. But because of the design of my shirt, you totally can't tell that I spilled coffee on it. So it's a win-win.
I think it was on Twitter.
It's a shirt for sloppy people. Sloppy fat guys pouring coffee all over the chest.
But, so... Basically, the CEO of Disney right now, somebody was like, well, what do you think about this property and that property and all this stuff? And they're like, we own Star Wars and Marvel and Disney. We own everything. Like, he literally went on record in an interview by saying, we fucking own everything. That's disconcerting. I don't like that. I don't like that at all.
If they get Harry Potter, then I'm pretty sure they would own the world of fandom.
That's Warner Brothers. Guys, look, it's all Disney and Warner Brothers. Those are your 2 options. Would you like Disney or Warner Brothers? What about Fox and Sony? We're not talking about them!
Yeah,
they will be swallowed up in time.
Fart in my mouth!
Dude, seriously, look at fucking Sony. Sony's kind of in dire straits here. Basically, the entirety of their fucking movie making productions it rests entirely on Spider-Man. And I gotta tell you guys, Spider-Man 2 did not perform like they were hoping it would.
Nope, because it sucked. But,
did not.
That's all the time we have for you.
Yeah, we're going over a little bit here, but that's okay. Glad to spend the time. Thanks for joining us. Good to see you guys.
Everybody, for Jake and Trevor Review Everything, I'm Jake.
I'm Trev.
And good night. See, we gotta wait for a second.
We're gonna wait just a second here, because otherwise you guys...
This will still be recorded for YouTube, but... Mm-hmm. So for the people that are watching on YouTube, go to Jake and Trevor Review Everything Live on Wednesdays at 10:05. We do have on our website, peanutbutterdisaster.com. Mm-hmm. You can find it right on there. It's right under Jake and Trevor Review Everything.
And while you're there, treat yourself to some fantastic...
Treat yourself
to 2014. You should treat yourself to some delightful reviews on a number of different movies, as well as music. There's video games. There's even some soup stuff up there if you're a real soup nut. But feel free to stop on in, take a look. There's something for everyone there. And if there's something that's there or there's nothing there that you're interested in, tell us. Write it in the comments. Write it into these guys. Contact us and
Disaster, made to order.
That's right. So write to us at Jake and Trev Review Everything at gmail.com, and we will certainly take a look at that, and we will get you the thing you want. Because we are whores, and we will provide you with what you're looking for.
So good for you. Just all the salt.
Bye, guys.